windowless one-man capsule. It was dark. People that I know that have met John Glenn said he practiced for 100 hours or more in his capsule, blindfolded, learning where all the switches were, how to make sure that he knew everything that was we didn't even know if your eyes would work at zero gravity. Now, when he was on his flights, he did a very important experiment. He took out a tube of applesauce. He ate it and radioed back. I was able to eat the applesauce. We didn't know if you could swallow in zero gravity because birds use gravity. I mean, they just tilt their head back and the food just goes down. And we know if you're going to go to the moon and it's going to take 10 days or 2 weeks to get there and back, you're going to probably get hungry before you get back. So we knew we could do that. We had a total of 4 Mercury Atlas flights. The last astronaut, Gordon Cooper, was able to sleep in space. So we knew we could do that. Now, all of these programs were designed to get us to the moon. So we had to learn things in baby steps along the way. The next program, after the one-man Mercury program, was, somebody pronounce that Gemini word down there. You're going to say
Gemini?
Let me tell you,
Gemini
the
Titan.
people that worked in that program will say Gemini is the constellation. Gemini is what we call it.
Gemini.
And newscasters, you probably remember that, Gemini. And he said, and they will tell you, if you have a hard time remembering that, remember Gemini first. Okay, we had to learn some things to get us to the moon. One was spacewalking. Gemini 4, Ed White up there, became our first spacewalker. Now we had 10 manned launches in just 2 years. It was a busy program. I mean, launch after launch after launch. Gemini 6 and 7 launched near the same time. These capsules had windows. Don't get back there, sweetie. You may get lost. You may get knocking something over. Come on out, Carly. Come here. They actually rendezvoused and they flew in formation for a while. They were looking out the windows at each other through their capsule. Gemini 6 landed. Gemini 7 spent 2 hours less than 2 weeks in space with Frank Borman and Jim Lovell eating together, sleeping together, and doing everything together in a capsule smaller than a smart car. They couldn't even stretch their legs out. I told my wife I love you very much. I didn't do that. Anyway, they flew again later. They came back friends. Gemini 8 was our chance to rendezvous and dock with another spacecraft.
They had they were booked, but they just slept
Okay. We launched the Atlas 𝗔𝗠𝗘 target vehicle like this. And a couple of hours later, we launched the Gemini capsule. They rendezvoused, they docked. They immediately started spinning out of control. The commander undocked, thinking it would make things better, and it made them worse. They were rotating about 1 revolution per second on different axes. He undocked and he got them using thrusters to correct the roll. They did an emergency landing. We didn't lose that crew. Anybody know who that commander was? Do you know? Let me show you right here. This is from a restaurant back in those days. Does this name look familiar?
No,
It's spelled wrong. It's N-E-I-L. Anyway, I think maybe that bumped him up the ladder to be the first guy to walk on the moon. What do you guys think? Anyway, we had to learn these things, and we did learn them. So it was time to move to the Apollo program. 3-man capsule, bigger rocket, and a very ambitious program. Now we're going to walk out here and talk about Apollo. Before we do that, I want to take another side trip into the Hubble. Everybody know what Hubble is, the space telescope? Let's go over here. Okay, all right. All right, now let me tell you
I'll be back.
Anybody here, I like to tell this story. Is anybody here an Elvis fan? No?
Yeah, I am.
Are you?
I got all his movies, yeah.
Have a space.
You're lying.
No, I'm not lying.
Okay. Well, my wife is a hardcore Elvis fan.
Not
And
that
we
way.
moved down here, and I told her, this building is my Graceland. Because I can go down US 1 every day and see it across the Indian River. It's an amazing sight to me. Everybody recognizes this building, right? It's the tallest one-story building on the planet. There's a lot of stuff in there. And it's full of stuff. But it goes from floor to ceiling. 526 feet tall. You can put a baseball stadium on the top of this building and have an acre left over for parking. The footprint of this building is 8 acres. It's huge. It has 4 doors, tallest doors in the world, 456 feet tall. And when this rocket rolled out to go to the launch pad, it cleared the top of these doors by 6 feet. The building was built for these rockets, and it was used for the shuttle. And now the SLS. It's a big building. All right, let's come over here. The way we landed on the moon and left the moon was in this, the lunar module. The lunar module is built in 2 parts, the descent stage and the ascent stage. Descent stage is the gold-colored part. That big rocket engine under there would lower this spacecraft down to the surface of the moon. There was a ladder on this leg right here. They would walk down that ladder, they would go out on the surface, they'd collect rocks and do experiments and so forth. When it was time to leave, they'd come back up and go through that little hatch there, and the gray and the black part, that's the ascent stage. It would use this as a launch pad. It would blast off from the moon. There's still 6 of these sitting on the moon. And if you get online and Google the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, you can see photos of the landing sites, and you can see stuff there. You can see the tracks from the lunar rovers. You can see the footprint trails that they left. They're small, but you can see it. All right. Now, the last mission of the Apollo program, after we had Skylab, you know Skylab, we put Skylab in orbit, sent astronauts there 3 times, and then we launched 3 astronauts in an Apollo capsule. The Soviet Union launched 2 cosmonauts in a Soyuz capsule. They rendezvoused and docked, like this model over here. The astronauts reached through, they shook hands, they ended the 20 years of that space race. Now, back in November 1st of last year, we celebrated the 20th anniversary of having astronauts and cosmonauts on the ISS. Anybody under the age of 20 has never lived one day without humans in space. That's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anybody now? Does anybody want to go to space? She wants to go. I don't know. All right. Now this spacesuit over here is a demonstration model of the new lunar spacesuit. It's not the final edition, but this is an improvement over the Apollo spacesuit. It's got all these servos and everything. It moves a lot better. It's easier to get in and out of. The old spacesuits had a lower half and an upper half. You had to get in the lower half and then put the upper half on and attach them together. This one has a hatch on the back. All you have to do is go into the back. And the man that built this has told me that he literally put this together in his living room. And I'm not sure if his wife is happy about that, but he said it will keep you alive in the back, and it actually works.
Mac and cheese. Rice Krispie treat.
Brothers are things that came to us after we lost these, either one or the other of these. On the Columbia, we had our first Israeli astronaut. And because he was an Israeli astronaut, the school he was from, when we lost Columbia, some of the students sent letters here. And years later, we had a group from that school that came in here, and a young girl looked in there and said, "There's my letter." And just burst into tears. Isn't that sort of amazing? That school, every year at the Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, they have a day of remembrance, and out by that big mirror. And every year, until the pandemic, that school sent a contingent of students here to celebrate the life of this guy. Okay. Steve, tired. All right, now this is a model. I'm sorry?
This club was using EVA training and flew on at least one mission.
What?
Flew on at least one mission.
Oh, yeah?
This is a mobility unit. This glove here would go with the EVA mobility unit.
and it's what they wear when they do a spacewalk. So
That's pretty
this
cool.
is called a micrometeorite layer. This is super tough material, so if they get hit by a speck of dirt in orbit that's going 20,000 miles an hour, it goes right through your spacesuit. So they have these protection layer, the outside white layer is actually only to protect them. The yellow layer that you see there and the blue layer that you see here, those are multiple layers of the same suit. So that's the outside layer, and that has many hours of astronaut use.
Well, thank you for bringing that to me.
Well, that's all part of our auction this
I
weekend.
know. I can't afford it.
Oh, come on, man. We got some things that are cheap. We got some things that are ridiculously expensive. And they all keep this place open.
Well, you know how much I like this one. Well, I'm Bart.
I haven't met you.
I'm Bart.
I'm Chuck.
Did you work in the space program?
I never did.
Never? You're just passionate about it like me.
Have been since I was a kid.
Me too. Since I was in the 5th grade. When started, these guys called Mercury 7.
Well, mine started about 1975 with a trip to the Kennedy Space Center.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, came here on vacation, and my parents took me to the KSC.
And you've been hooked ever since.
Dude, I got a picture. Remember when the Saturn V was on the side of the PAD? On the mobile platform, my stepfather was 6'8". He took me and set me in the bell. I got a picture of me as a kid
Of the F1?
sitting in the F1 exhaust valve.
That's cool. You can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
Nice meeting you, sir. Okay, guys. Now, let's come over here to the launch pad. Remember that big crawler transporter I told you guys about? It's the largest self-propelled machine on Earth. My wife is also badged to go out on Kennedy Space Center. And she and I called up one day and I said, can we come over and tour the crawler? And they said, come on. So we got a 2-hour tour of the crawler. I have a picture of us standing next to this track, and it's about 8 or 10 feet taller than us. Each one of these cleats weighs 1 ton.
Karen had a key. Oh, Karen.
It's a huge one. You could drive a bus underneath the crawler.
I just
It's
told you to
huge.
lock the door. He's
Don't lock the door.
All right, now the crawler transporter goes underneath the launch platform, uses hydraulics to lift it off of these pedestals